Hi everyone. So this is just a short lecture that I'm recording for you guys that hopefully will add some clarifying points to the evaluation essay. So your rough draft is due on Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Please remember that it's due to two places. So the Canvas assignment window, of course, is one of them, but also you must post a copy of your your essay to the discussion board for peer review. So it's really important that you post it to both places to give people that you're peer reviewing ample time to give you feedback and read your essay, since we're all sort of on different schedules. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about the essay itself, some kind of content, just pretty briefly, and hopefully this will supplement the notes that you have on the previous module. So the one thing to remember, the big thing that I keep emphasizing for this essay, is that an evaluation essay is not a pro-con essay, and it's not a compare-contrast essay. You ideally need to be making a single judgment, which is your thesis, your evaluative claim, and you need to be supporting that judgment or evaluation throughout the body of your essay. So the kind of most common counterpart of an evaluation that we use in everyday life is a review, right? We may look at movie reviews, Yelp reviews, Google reviews, etc. You know, if you're buying clothes on a website, you might read the customer reviews to see if a piece of clothing fits. And these reviews usually tell us whether we should be spending our money on something or not, right? Eat here, don't eat here, buy this car, don't buy this car. So you want to think about the ways that you're making that point in your essay. And the way really that we do that is via criteria, right? So those are the standards or sort of the reasons that we're providing for the evaluation that we're making. So for example, if I'm saying we should be driving, we all should be driving hybrid vehicles, right? Or your next vehicle should be a hybrid vehicle. I would have to have supporting criteria, right? Maybe it's because, cost and fuel economy, maybe it's environmental impact, and then I have another one, I don't know, right? So I have my reasons kind of clearly stated. When you develop your thesis statement, which is also called an evaluative claim, that should be incorporated into your thesis statement, right? So if it's like, these are the benefits of reducing single-use plastics, maybe, or like, these are the reasons why we should ban plastic straws, right? I would make sure to include my criteria in there, right? So plastic straws should be banned because they endanger sea life, they're harmful to the environment in other ways, and paper straws provide a better alternative, something like that, right? So I have I have three criteria that I'm using to support that claim, right? So when we're writing the essay, though, sometimes the question we get is, well, how do I organize this essay, right? So I have this judgment, I have my criteria. How do I go about writing this? Well, the best way to do that is to organize your essay around your criteria. That's what I would mostly recommend you doing. So what you can do is, so say you have 3 reasons / criteria, you devote either 1 or 1 to 2 paragraphs to each individual criterion. So if I am saying you should buy this car because, and one of my criteria is price, maybe I have that's one of my paragraphs, right, where I talk about price and I talk about what maybe comparative models cost, why the price for this car makes it a better choice, right, et cetera, et cetera. And then so on and so forth, right? So if I'm doing something more research-based, like the benefits of breastfeeding over formula feeding, right? And one of my criteria is like health benefits to the baby. I deal with that in either 1 to 2 paragraphs, right? And what I want to do in my individual paragraphs, in addition to just being like, okay, I'm going to dedicate a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, depending, to this individual criterion, is I want to make sure to explain my criteria. So I'm not just going to be like health benefits, blah, 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 blah. I may take the time to explain like what I mean by this. The same thing for like if I'm writing like the benefits of hybrid vehicles. Maybe and I say the first thing is like environmental impact. Maybe before I kind of get into why hybrid vehicles are good for the environment, I explain the environmental impact that traditional gas-fueled vehicles have on the environment. And that way I've sort of added some heft to the criteria that I'm using. So I've kind of like, it helps make sense why I'm using this criteria. And then of course, I need to use evidence to support that assertion, right? So I don't want to just be like shooting from the hip and being like, oh, breastfeeding is better than formula feeding, or vice versa, well, based on what, right? Where's my research? So then this is where I incorporate my sources to support that assertion. So if I'm saying hybrid vehicles are better for the environment than traditional gas vehicles, what is the research that supports that statement? Even something kind of more simple that like, this car versus this car, right? Or just buy this car. What does Consumer Reports say about this car? What are the safety ratings? What evidence do I have that suggests that this car has better fuel economy? Or good fuel economy, not even just better than comparatively speaking. So you do need 3 to 4 sources for this essay, and that's how you would incorporate those sources. So you'd imagine almost like using at least one source as support for your criteria, right? When you should have like about three reasons, right? And if you look on our notes, I have several sample thesis statements posted there for you that I'll make a judgment with like supporting reasons, right? None of it's just like, you should do this or you shouldn't do that, period, right? It's like, you should do this because, or this is beneficial because, right? So that's sort of where your criteria go, right? It's like after the because, right? Like, what are your reasons? So by the end of the essay, right, you're sort of supporting that overall judgment. You're coming to that overall judgment. So if you are saying that hybrid vehicles are the best option, your essay should be supporting that judgment. If you're saying that new mothers should pursue breastfeeding over formula feeding, your essay should support that assertion, right? And that's why we kind of go back to, it's not pro-con, compare-contrast, right? Because the overall goal is to recommend something to your reading audience, right? So we're kind of thinking about audience in that sense. Like, evaluations are meant to be useful, right? That's a lot of times when we read evaluations, it's because we're trying to make a decision, right? A personal one, maybe a social one, right? There's a lot of stuff right now out there about like social distancing and sort of like how that benefits the spread of COVID-19, right? We're trying to make a decision here, right? So it's like you're offering an opinion, yes, you're offering like a stance, an argument, but you're supporting that with some research. Do make sure that you do cite them in MLA. So I'm going to provide a link to Noodle Tools, which is a works cited page generator that's free and you can access through the library. But anytime you are looking up information that you had to look up, right, like you didn't just know or do the research yourself, you should have an in-text citation accompanying that information. So it's really important that you do that. But so overall, I mean, hopefully this offers some clarifying points. Sometimes it's useful just to hear someone explain something rather than just like reading the notes when you're maybe tired and glazing over things. And of course, if anybody has any questions about the assignment before you submit at least a rough draft on Thursday, feel free to contact me. And if you have any questions before the essay is due, I believe it's on April 26th, please contact me as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. But otherwise, good luck and happy weekend.